Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another match preview video. First things first, guys, make sure you smash the like, subscribe if you're new around here, all of that good stuff. And as always, leave your thoughts in the comments below. And forget the Champions League. It's all about the Conference League. And on Thursday, Chelsea face Gent at Stamford Bridge as the road to Poland begins. Hopefully going to end with lifting European silverware and completing the set. But we've got a few matches to go before we get there. Truth be told, you know, it's a game that you could really sort of do without. It's not the most exciting game in the world, but it gives us opportunities to give more players minutes, rotate the squad, and try and keep that momentum going. But to discuss the game, discuss what changes Maresca might make, how we see it going, I'd like to be joined by Nina. Nina, thanks for coming as always. How are you feeling about the Conference League? We're obviously into the league phase now. I mean, you must be really excited. It's what we've all dreamed of.
I'm buzzing, and I'm actually not even sarcastic. I mean, I literally said it's something new. It's the only one that we've not won. Then we can say we've won it all for real this time. But yeah, you just got to be excited. And to be honest, it'll be great if we get another win. It's at home. That will mean that we've won in a domestic cup, Premier League, Conference League. So no matter the competition, to get wins under our belts, it'll be pretty good. Pretty good to get the streak going, ticking. If we can have a clean sheet too. I have no idea really what to expect from this Gent sides, but I can only judge by what we've been doing. We've looked good. We've been scoring goals for fun. So if we can replicate that at Stamford Bridge, then I've really not got many concerns for Thursday.
No, I would agree. Obviously, we don't know too much about Gent. Don't want to be too disrespectful about them, but it should be a game that Chelsea should be comfortably coming through without too many issues. We're in good form with the top scorers in the league so far this season. We're going for 5 wins in a row in all competitions. Things are starting to perhaps turn a corner. We need to sort of keep this momentum building before we head into the international break. I mean, in terms of the Conference League in general, though, you know, obviously we are. Let's big ourselves up. We are comfortably the best team in it. We're comfortably the biggest team in it. But that doesn't mean you're going to win the competition. But when you look at the Conference League, do you think this is something that Chelsea have to win? Because I look at it and think it's a lose-lose situation. Because if you win it, you don't really get too much praise because, well, you're Chelsea, you're in a Conference League. Look at the teams you're facing. You know, you should be winning it. And if you don't win it, it goes down as an utter embarrassment. So for you, do we have to win it this season?
I mean, I don't really look at it as a lose-lose because I think at the end of the day, you win a trophy, you've won a trophy. And these players that we have, I don't think they'll really be picky about what trophy they can win this season. So if they can win the Conference League, I think that will be a big boost of morale in the club. I think the players getting their hands on some silverware. And as you said, we are on paper the best team in this competition. We are expected to win it. We are favourites, I think, to win it too. So I think there is a big expectation there and an ask. So I do expect us to get really far into the competition, hopefully win it. You know, we've struggled in the domestic cups. We got to a final, almost another last year, true, and we've made it there before, but it's proven difficult to win at Wembley. Hopefully in Poland, if we get there, our fortunes look a little bit brighter, more promising. But I think it'll be great to win the Conference League. I think maybe people will say it's the easiest one to win this season, perhaps. So the expectations there, and hopefully we can execute it.
No, I agree. Not only is it probably the easiest one to win, and then maybe you could put the League Cup in there potentially on a par. There's less games and whatnot, but also not to forget, obviously, we want to get into the Champions League via the league. Yeah. There's no guarantees that's going to happen despite our good start. And if you win the Conference League, it does put you in the Europa League next season. Now, of course, we don't want to be aiming for the Europa League, but if things take a bit of a turn in the league or it doesn't go as we expect, then this is an easier way into the Europa League than coming top 6 in the Premier League, in my view. So we've also got to look at it from that point as well. But in terms of priorities, where do you think the Conference League lies? Of course, I think the main priority for the club is to get back into the Champions League. But as fans, you know, we want to win trophies. Yes, of course, we want to get into the Champions League as well. But you're not going to look back, you know, as a fan and think, oh, God, do you remember that time when we come 4th in the league? You're going to look back at the times when you win trophies, days out, finals and whatnot. So in terms of importance this season, where does it rank for you, the Conference League?
I think because I rank a trophy quite high in terms of importance for Chelsea this season, I'd say relatively high, because again, this group of players getting their hands on some silverware would be a real confidence boost, and it really would say how far we've come, considering during the takeover things have been so rocky. We've looked so far from competitive. So at the end of the day, Conference League or not, you've still got to be competitive in this competition and beat what's in front of you to get further ahead, to get to a final. So I think it's massive. But again, I really yearn for top four, because we've not been there, in these last years, and it's a place where Chelsea has always been, has desired to be, has been expected to be there. So it would really be nice to get there. But I'm not going to lie, I also would love to win at Wembley. We've been there at Wembley, heartbroken, walked away down the steps into the station with like the thought of, when does this end? When do we get to win at Wembley? So I think even that in itself would be a massive, a massive hurdle overcome. So for me, I'd say trophy is probably very important. But I would also not disregard that getting a trophy and getting top four is something impossible for Chelsea.
Oh, it's not impossible. No,
Yeah.
it should be the minimum expectation, in my view. Given the trophy, given the competitions we're in, we've got such a big advantage. Yes, we play Thursday, Sunday, but given the squad that we've got, given exactly, particularly given the quality of the teams in the Conference League, especially in this league phase, the sides that we're playing, we are in a position where we can literally play a different 11 on Thursday and a different 11 on Sunday. I'm not saying that Maresca will make 11 changes for this game against Gent, but we are in a position where we can make 9-10 changes, and we can keep the bulk of the team fresh for the Sunday, which teams that we're going for the top four with, because they're in Europa League, Champions League, perhaps bigger matches, tougher opposition, they're not going to have that luxury of doing that. So I think that does play massively into our hands. Obviously, it's important to get off to a winning start. What are your thoughts on this game? We're building some momentum. We're 4 wins on the spin now, all competitions. We got an obviously first home win of the season in the league on Saturday against Brighton. We saw 11 changes against Barrow. Gent, I think, are going to be just a little bit better than Barrow. I don't know how much, but I think they'll be better. And changes-wise, what are you expecting? Are you expecting wholesale changes? Do you think we'll see 1 or 2 sort of key players left in? I mean, what would you expect to see in this game?
I think there will be some rotation for sure. I think Enzo Maresca has said this is a great opportunity to do that with the other cups, and obviously like we did against Barrow, in a similar way to do that against Gent. Again, I'm not going to really pretend like I know much about the team in order to know how we set up against them. So I can only sort of judge from what we did against Servette, the different players we saw against that kind of team, and maybe like Jorgensen comes into goal. That's probably, I think we can both agree, and all Chelsea fans will probably expect that to happen. But again, I think in terms of our back line, I probably wouldn't fiddle with that too much, purely because I think that area defensively is still where we lack a little bit of stability, and it's still an area that opposition exposes. So let's just say that Gent have quality up front. Let's just say that they could punish us in that front. I think it is important for us to keep our kind of clean sheet record, continue that on, or at least keep goals out. So I think for chemistry's sake, and for players at the backs getting more comfortable with each other, if we are rotating the goalkeeper, then I might not make that many changes in the back line. But elsewhere on the pitch, I think we will see Nkunku start. I think he deserves it. They could potentially make a case for maybe Mudryk coming into the side. I don't know, maybe Joao Felix again starting. I don't think that's completely out the out the question.
I think we'll just see that same front four we saw against Barrow. I think they'll change a whole lot. I mean, Palmer's not in the squad for this anyway. I think you'll see Neto, Nkunku, Felix and Mudryk. At the back, Jorgensen will definitely play. Fofana's not in the squad, so there's going to be at least 1 change at centre-back. I'd expect Tosin to play. Whether that's alongside Colwell or whether that's alongside a Disasi or a Badiashile, I don't know. I think Renato Vega probably plays at left-back. Dewsbury Hall gets some minutes. Like there's a lot of scope to make changes here, and there's an opportunity for a lot of players to show that they should perhaps be playing more in the league. I mean, Felix was unused sub at the weekend against Brighton. He'll want to show that, I should be featuring on a more regular basis. I mean, Nkunku will be thinking, well, I scored a hat-trick. Well, I played 10 minutes against Brighton. These are good problems to have. But if you're Nkunku, you're not going to be happy with getting sort of 10, 15 minutes in the league and then being used as a Thursday night player.
Yeah.
What do you think he has to do to force his way into the Premier League side? Because it's clear that Jackson is the first choice right now. You can't really argue with it, despite Nkunku's good start to the season. It's a bit of a difficult one for him, isn't it? I don't think it's a situation that many Chelsea fans would have expected Nkunku to find himself in. You know, we thought he was going to be sort of one of the main players when he arrived. It's not really worked out like that. And I don't think it's kind of gone as he would have expected either. I mean, what do you think he needs to do to force his way in? Because unless Jackson's goes through a poor run of form, I don't really see how Nkunku gets in the team.
Yeah, no, I get exactly what you mean. And to me, it was a bit of a shock at the start because I always envisioned that when Nkunku was eventually fit and available, he'd be, a regular starter and a first teamer. Because at the end of the day, that's probably what we brought him in to be. Obviously, he was injured before he came, and then for whatever reason, he wasn't able to. But I mean, it's a hard one to justify, but I'm not too worried about that at this stage because I think Nkunku is a mature enough player to keep himself motivated, and he's very good at being he's not fussed at the moment. I mean, obviously he wants more game time, but it's not a case where he is, throwing tantrums when he's coming on just for 10, 15 minutes. He's very chill with it. He continues to show his quality. He knows he's a super sub because that's what he is. He made an impact in the short amount of times he came on last season for us, scoring against famously Liverpool at Anfield, Wolves away as well, after being on the pitch for just 5-10 minutes. But I think it's a case of maybe later on in the season, if for whatever reason, like you said, Jackson, touch wood, he doesn't get injured, but if that happens, then maybe that's when he steps up. But I think if we hadn't made as many signings in the kind of the winger roles in summer, like with the Sancho, Felix, Neto, of course, then maybe that would have meant that Nkunku does come into the side. You could rotate around. Palmer did play out on the wing. We know he's obviously a lot more effective in the 10, but you could try Nkunku there as a second striker or as a false 9. So I think there would have been much more opportunity for him to be a first teamer, but I just think naturally with the role that he has now, Enzo Maresca is much more keen to use him as that element of surprise or someone that can come on and win you a game, provide you that bit of individual brilliance. And I think that's actually a superpower we have, to have that player, because we were missing someone like that before he arrived. And but for now, let him get his times. He didn't play in the league and then he came on and scored a hat-trick against Barrow, just like that. So he's someone that doesn't need to play regularly to, continue on his consistency, which again, it's a super strength in a player, and we've not had many like that in the past recently.
Who else do you think this is a bit like this will be a big night for in terms of opportunities, in terms of showing the manager that I should feature a little bit more? I mean, everyone always talks about Mudryk. It's going to be like it's important for him. I thought he actually played pretty well against Barrow, in fairness. And I thought he'd done all right when he came. Well, I mean, he didn't really have anything to do when he come on against Brighton. I don't think he really got the ball that much at all. So it's hard to really judge his performance there. It'll be another opportunity for him. I think, it's a level of opposition that he should do reasonably well against. I actually don't think his performances, certainly the last few, have actually been that bad. In terms of like what he's done, I always feel like he gets like micro-analyzed more than anyone else. I almost feel like if another player did the exact same performance as Mudryk, they wouldn't get anywhere near as much criticism as he does. I'm not saying that he's done well necessarily, but I just feel that like if anyone else has done his exact performances, I think the criticism would be much less. But I mean, where do you stand on him? I mean, obviously he's kind of probably playing for his Chelsea career this season. If he doesn't really show signs of improvement with a Brazilian, with Esteval coming, with Kendry Paez coming next summer, he's probably going to be one that gets moved on. Someone's going to have to leave to make space for him. Where do you stand on him? Because I think there's so much ability there, but we can't keep saying that. And I want it to happen for him so much, but it just isn't quite happening just yet. Even though there have been a few signs, we need more, but that's down to him at the end of the day.
Well, I've been Mudryk's biggest advocate, and I've been defending his corner. I've been protecting his name where it's been used badly. But even I'm at this point now where, and you actually said it yourself, we should no longer be saying this about players who have now been at the club a couple of seasons. Oh, he wasn't that bad, because the bar is now a lot higher. You're seeing players in those positions that are dropping, man of the match performances or 8 out of 10 performances week in, week out when they play. You can't compete with that if you're not that bad or you've not been that bad in a game, right? And considering how much output we've seen from the players that he competes with in those positions in the league, it's very hard to argue the case that Mudryk needs to get a look in a Premier League start. And unfortunately for him, I think that ship has sailed. And I think that regardless of kind of, how good he looks in a game or how inconsistent he is in the game, I think he will be a sub. I think he'll be used as a substitute. I think he'll get game time in the other cups, and I think he'll get perhaps game time in a Conference League game as such. But for me, Mudryk won't start in the Premier League anymore, at least now or for the good near future, because I think that with him, there's been a big chance given. I think in terms of improvement, I kind of place him I place him on the same level with Mudryk because they both came in at the same time, pretty similar time. And with Mudryk, you can see a clear kind of path of improvement. With Mudryk, it seems still it's a bit hot and cold, and you go through different, emotions with him. And now, because everyone needs to be pulling their weight at Chelsea, and a lot of players are, it's really hard to look at players like Mudryk and say, oh, but there's still something there, because we're really focused on the present moment now, right? We want to achieve the goals we want to. So unfortunately, sadly, like the last couple seasons, we're no longer in a position where we can give leeway to these players who are still finding their feet, have got potential, this and that. And that's not anything personal to Mudryk, because I think he was actually set up with the wrong career move at the wrong time. I think coming to Chelsea at the time he did was almost too quick, too soon of a big leap into this top side that he came into, and he wasn't quite ready. I think his price tag didn't help either, and that's why I think he gets micro scrutinized, like you say, because of what he cost us. And again, that's not on the player. I think a better or perhaps a loan move would have been better for Mudryk's development, but at the moment, with the quality shown by the players that he competes with, sadly, it's just not good enough from him at the moment.
No, I agree. And just around that, what are you expecting to see from Chelsea on Thursday night? Just kind of more of the same, more of the same of what we've been seeing over the last few games. I mean, it doesn't seem to matter too much who plays, and that's because everyone seems to know their job, which is a sign of of a well-coached side, and that certainly seems to be the case at this early stage of the season. You're just expecting to see a continuation, really, of what we've seen over the last few games.
Yeah, absolutely. Momentum, consistency. I think that's so important. And Maresca said it himself in a press conference. I can't remember after which game, but he said, when you win, it's really hard to continue on, go to another game and win again, and then do it again. That cycle is very difficult because there's almost more pressure because you're in a good run of form, and there's an expectation to continue that on, to be in that good run. So momentum and consistency is so important. Doesn't matter what level of opposition you're playing. I always use the example last season. We struggled against League 1, 2 teams. We didn't play in Europe, but we weren't able to tackle once a week fixtures and keep momentum going, even though we had more rest. Now we're able to kind of rest 3 days, get a new lineup in, and not take the quality out. Yeah, it's a small sample of games, but again, there's enough there to show you that there is something to believe in. So I'd be happy if only, and hopefully we can take the atmosphere that we had against Brighton at Stamford Bridge and into this game too, because I don't know much about Gent, but I'd like to think that their fans are going to be pretty loud when they come to us, no matter how many of them there are. So it's important for us to get our atmosphere going, get behind the players, and hopefully get a win and some goals too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the atmosphere, I think goes hand in hand when you're winning and performing well.
Yeah, it helps, doesn't it?
It makes a big difference. Like winning just makes a big difference to sort of the whole feeling around the club, the fans, the atmosphere, and everything. So we can keep that going for as long as possible. It's going to be a huge plus. Last thing, score prediction. I mean, we're scoring a lot of goals. Again, I don't really know too much about Gent.
No, it's hard
they can't be that great because they're in the Belgian league and they're in the Conference League, so they're probably looking at a 4th or 5th place side in the Belgian league, which is probably not amazing. But you still got to be professional, respectful, turn up, and focus on the task in hand. I would expect us to probably win this game 3-1 in my view.
I was going to say the same, just purely because I don't know what they're like up front, and with our defending, it's not outrageous to say that we could concede in this game. So I think that's a fair shout. I'd say 3-1 is probably a good shout. I'd echo your score prediction.
Well, there we go. Let's see if it happens. If it does happen, you heard it here first. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Nina, thanks for coming as always. If people don't know where to find you, they should know by now, but if they don't, let them know.
Yeah, you should know by now, but if you don't, it's Nina's Chelsea Corner on YouTube, and you'll be able to find my other social handles on my channel there. But if you can drop a subscribe, that'll be much appreciated.
Yeah, guys, make sure you do that. Channel will be tagged in the title. Go and show Nina's channel some love. Subscribe. Guys, make sure you keep subscribing. Smash the likes, all that good stuff. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll catch you again in another one soon.